There's a world inside every trader, a market that never sleeps, where thoughts move faster than price and emotions create volatility no chart can display. In that world, every decision is a trade, every impulse carries risk, every feeling has leverage. We study charts to understand the market, but few ever study the mind that interprets them. And yet that mind, your mind, is the real exchange where every profit and loss begins. This is not a video about options. It's a video about awareness, about the invisible Greeks that move within you, delta, gamma, vega, theta, rho, each one a reflection of your emotional sensitivity, your volatility, your patience, your expectation. If you learn to read these Greeks of the mind, you'll stop being a victim of your own reactions. You'll start trading from stillness. Because the real game isn't played on the screen. It's played in the silence between your thoughts. Welcome to Options Greeks for Minds Beta Reading Emotions. Welcome to Mind Over Markets. There is a market inside you, a place where emotions trade hands faster than any stock, where fear and greed form their own invisible order book. Every decision you make, every impulse to buy or to sell, isn't just a reflection of price. It's a reflection of your psychology, your internal Greeks. Because just like options have Greeks that measure sensitivity to risk, your mind has Greeks that measure sensitivity to emotion. And if you never learn to read them, you will always be traded instead of being the one who trades. Most traders believe they are fighting the market, but the truth is simpler and more painful. You are fighting yourself. You think the chart is your enemy, but the real volatility lives in your own thoughts. You believe risk comes from outside, but the risk lives within you. That's why two traders can look at the same chart, see the same candle, hear the same news, and one feels peace while the other feels panic. The difference is not knowledge, it's emotional delta. Delta is the sensitivity of an option's price to the movement of the underlying. It measures how fast something reacts to change. But what about your own delta? How fast do your emotions react to change? When price moves against you, do you move instantly with it? When you see red candles, do your thoughts start to spiral in milliseconds? A trader with high emotional delta feels everything. A 1% move on the chart becomes a 10% swing in their mood. They can't sit still. Their mind is constantly repricing itself. But a trader with low emotional delta, they've trained for neutrality. They know the market moves are inevitable, temporary, and meaningless without context. Their emotional delta is near zero. Price moves, but they don't. They are still. And in that stillness, they find clarity. But delta never exists alone. It's always accompanied by gamma, the rate of change of delta. Gamma tells you how quickly delta itself changes. And in your psychology, gamma measures how quickly your emotions accelerate. When something unexpected happens, gamma shows itself. It's that sudden shift when curiosity turns to fear, when patience turns to revenge, when confidence turns to ego. The emotional gamma spike is what breaks most traders. It's when the calm voice of reason is drowned by a scream of reaction. You didn't plan to break your rules. You didn't plan to over-leverage, but in a fraction of a second, gamma took over. It's not that you made a bad trade, it's that you made a fast one, too fast for logic to catch up. You see, emotional gamma is the volatility of your awareness, and the only way to tame it is through awareness itself. Awareness slows. Awareness gives you the space between stimulus and response, and in that small space, you become the trader again. Then there's Vega, the sensitivity to volatility. Vega doesn't care about direction. It cares about chaos. In trading psychology, your Vega is how reactive you are to uncertainty itself. When the market becomes noisy, when everyone is shouting, when news and opinions flood your feed, what happens to your state? Do you absorb the volatility or do you become it? A trader with high emotional Vega cannot stand uncertainty. They crave prediction control and clarity. But markets are designed to be uncertain. So the higher your Vega, the faster your peace decays. The calm trader, the one who thrives in silence and noise alike, they've reduced their Vega through detachment. They understand uncertainty is not the enemy. It is the environment. You can't control it. You can only calibrate your exposure to it. The more you resist chaos, the more it owns you. The more you accept it, the more power you gain. And then there is Theta, the Greek of time decay. Every day, every minute, every second that passes, Theta eats away at the value of your option. But in the psychology of trading, Theta measures something deeper. It measures the erosion of emotional capital over time. You wake up every day with a finite amount of willpower, discipline, focus. Every time you stare at the chart, hoping for a move, every time you check your P&L for no reason, every time you replay a loss in your head, your Theta decays. It's not the trade that exhausts you. It's the waiting. It's the mental loop. It's the unending noise of the mind trying to predict the unpredictable. When your emotional Theta decays faster than you can recover, you burn out. The market hasn't defeated you. You've simply run out of psychological premium. So you overtrade. You force setups. You chase stimulation just to feel alive again. That's not trading. That's addiction disguised as ambition. To master Theta, you must master rest. Discipline is not just about doing. It's also about not doing, not reacting, not forcing, not rushing time. Because the trader who knows how to wait collects the premium. Others lose to impatience. Finally, there is rho sensitivity to interest rates. But in trading psychology, rho is sensitivity to expectation. It measures how much your emotional state depends on your projected outcomes. You imagine the profits you'll make. You dream of the life it will give you. You attach to a future that doesn't exist yet. And when that vision shifts, so does your peace. Your happiness becomes interest rate dependent. When rates of expectation rise, so does your anxiety. But when you detach from outcome, when you stop demanding the market to fulfill your fantasies, you discover something extraordinary: contentment without condition. The master trader doesn't trade to be rich. They trade to express discipline. They trade to study themselves. They trade to stay awake. Their rho approaches zero. Their peace is not tied to returns. They've already won before the trade even begins. You see, every Greek of the mind is a reflection of emotional mechanics, and the goal is not to eliminate them, but to understand them. Delta reminds you to slow down your reaction. Gamma warns you to manage emotional acceleration. Vega teaches you to embrace uncertainty. Theta humbles you with patience. And Rho frees you from attachment. Together they form the psychology of consistency. Most traders spend their lives studying the Greeks of the market, yet never study the Greeks of their mind. They memorize formulas but not feelings. They calculate probabilities but ignore patterns of emotion. But the greatest edge is not mathematical, it's psychological. The moment you can beta read your own emotions, the moment you can see your fear before it moves you, you gain something most traders never will: self-awareness. Because trading isn't about predicting markets. It's about predicting yourself. Imagine for a moment you could plot your emotions on a chart. Every spike of fear, every dip of overconfidence, every plateau of numbness. You would see patterns, repetition, cycles. Just like price your psychology trends, retests, and consolidates. You've been here before, you just don't remember. Every breakdown in your mind was once a breakout in disguise. Every loss you hated was a signal you refused to read. The chart doesn't care who you are, but your emotions do. And until you learn to decode them, you'll keep reliving the same mistakes under new market conditions. The traders who last are not the smartest. They're the most self-aware. They've built an emotional risk model. They know their delta triggers. They can sense when gamma is rising. They detect Vega stress before it explodes. They recover their theta through routine and rest. They lower rho through detachment and humility. They don't fight the market. They study themselves in it. And that's how they win, not because they control price, but because they control their presence. The market is a mirror. Every tick reflects a piece of your subconscious. Every reaction exposes a hidden belief. You don't need more indicators. You need more introspection. You don't need more data. You need more awareness. Because until you understand the Greeks of your mind, you'll always confuse volatility with opportunity. And you'll keep mistaking emotional noise for trading signals. So the next time you feel an impulse to chase, to revenge, to panic, pause. Look within and ask yourself, what's my delta right now? Is my gamma spiking? Is my Vega reacting to chaos? Is my theta burning away? Is my rho attached to a fantasy? That simple act of observation is the beginning of mastery. This is part 1. You are not learning about trading. You are learning about yourself through trading. The Greeks of the mind are not theory. They are truth disguised as metaphor. And once you can read them, you will no longer be a slave to the market's volatility. You will become the calm in the storm, the silent observer behind the screen, the trader who doesn't chase probability because they already trade with certainty, not certainty of profit, but certainty of self. And that is where the real edge begins. Every chart you stare at is a mirror. Every candle that rises or falls reflects something inside you. And yet most traders spend their whole lives trying to fix the reflection instead of the one standing before it. You can adjust your strategy 1,000 times. You can change indicators, brokers, mentors, and markets. But until you adjust the trader behind the screen, the results will repeat like an echo that refuses to fade. We like to think we are rational. We like to believe we trade with logic, with data, with reason. But deep down beneath the layers of strategy and spreadsheets, there is something older, something raw, a creature that still remembers the ancient fear of loss, the primitive hunger for more. That creature is the real trader. It doesn't care about your backtest, your plan, or your rules. It cares only about survival. When the chart moves, it doesn't see probability. It sees threat or opportunity. It fires the same signals that once told your ancestors to run or to hunt. The market is new, but the mind is ancient. And every tick wakes the instincts of thousands of years. That is why trading psychology is not about motivation. It's about evolution. To trade well is to evolve beyond the default human code, because your brain wasn't built for markets. It was built for safety. It was built to avoid pain and seek pleasure quickly. But trading rewards the opposite. It rewards patience, uncertainty, and discomfort. So every time you click the button, you are not just trading an asset. You are trading against your own biology. The first step to mastering it is observation, to see yourself without judgment. When you feel the urge to trade, pause. When you feel fear creeping up your spine, pause again. Watch the emotion as if it belongs to someone else. That pause, that second of awareness, is your true edge. Because between impulse and action lies the space where mastery is born. Start recording what happens inside you. Not just the entry and the exit, but the thought before the entry and the emotion after the exit. This is not a trading journal. It's a mirror of consciousness. Write down your triggers. I felt fear when the candle turned red. I felt hope when price moved in my favor. I felt the need to prove myself after a loss. At first it feels pointless, But soon you'll see the chart of your own mind, a pattern more predictable than any market. You'll see that your losses often follow the same emotional setups. You'll realize your best trades happen when you feel nothing at all. Neutrality becomes profit. Silence becomes signal. There is a quiet truth that all consistent traders discover. It's not the system that makes you profitable. It's the self-awareness that stops you from destroying it. Systems are easy. Discipline is art, and art requires presence. The ability to stay centered when chaos erupts around you. That's what we mean by beta reading emotions. It's not suppression. It's recognition in real time. You learn to read the emotional data as it flows to measure volatility inside you the same way you measure volatility in the market. Fear has a pattern. Greed has a rhythm. Ego has a signature spike. If you look closely, you can see them form before they break you. Fear begins with tension in the body, a slight contraction in the breath. Greed begins with imagination, a vision of what could be if you just held longer. Ego begins with language. I knew it, I told you I can't be wrong. When you can identify those signals, you can intervene before they trigger a trade. That is emotional risk management. That is the Greek of awareness. But awareness alone is not enough. You must also reframe your relationship with loss. Loss is not punishment. It's information. Every loss whispers a lesson about your internal Greeks. Maybe your delta was too high, you reacted too quickly. Maybe your Vega spiked uncertainty made you doubt the plan. Maybe your Theta ran out fatigue led you to force the setup. Loss is feedback, but only if you listen. If you deny it, you turn data into trauma, and trauma repeats itself until it's understood. There's a story of two traders. One loses 10 trades in a row, and each loss chips away at his confidence. He becomes smaller, hesitant, defensive. He tightens, stops cuts, winners, avoids risk. His world shrinks until trading feels like walking through a minefield. The other loses 10 trades in a row, and each loss expands his understanding. He studies the emotion, not the result. He measures how fear entered his body, how impatience altered his perception. He grows with each failure. Same market, different psychology. One trades to avoid pain, the other trades to know himself. Only one will still be here in 10 years. Trading is not a business of prediction. It's a business of emotional endurance. Most traders quit not because they ran out of money, but because they ran out of belief. Belief in themselves, belief that calm is possible, belief that chaos can be navigated without losing identity. When your emotional capital is gone, no system can save you. You'll see opportunity everywhere, but you'll have no courage to take it. That's why your most valuable position is not in your portfolio. It's in your mindset. To rebuild that capital, you must treat your mind like an account. Deposit presence every morning. Withdraw noise every night. Let patience earn interest. Let silence compound. Because just like compound returns, awareness grows exponentially. Every moment you remain centered creates a deeper base for the next. Soon, neutrality becomes your default. You stop chasing dopamine. You start managing energy. And slowly, the market loses its power to define you. There comes a day when you stop reacting. Price moves and you simply observe. The same chart that once triggered anxiety now feels like weather passing through your consciousness. Up or down, it doesn't matter. You read it, you respond, you move on. That's when you know the shift has happened. You're no longer trading for excitement. You're trading for expression, for mastery, for peace. The market becomes your meditation mat. Every candle a breath, every loss a teacher, every win a whisper reminding you to stay humble. This is the paradox of trading psychology. The more you detach, the more you align. The less you chase, the more you receive. Because markets reward awareness, not attachment. They reward neutrality, not need. The moment you need the trade, you've already lost the freedom to choose it. But when you can take it or leave it, when your self-worth no longer depends on the outcome, you finally trade from abundance, not from lack. That's when consistency begins to appear not as luck, but as consequence. And still the mind will test you. There will be days when discipline fades, when you forget everything you've learned, when you fall back into the old pattern, chasing, hoping, fearing. Do not hate yourself for that. Awareness is not perfection. It is remembering faster. Every relapse is another chance to practice recall, to see the emotion sooner, to pause earlier, to recover quicker. That's progress. That's growth. You don't have to be flawless. You just have to be conscious. Somewhere deep inside, there is a part of you that has never been shaken by the market. It watches every win and loss like waves on the shore. It knows none of this defines you. That part is your true self, the silent observer. It doesn't care about money or status or outcome. It cares about awareness. It's the voice that whispers, wait, breathe, let it pass. Every great trader eventually meets that voice. Some call it intuition, some call it flow, but it is simply presence, the mind unclouded by noise. When you trade from that place, everything slows down. The chart becomes transparent. Your thoughts quiet. The trade executes itself. You are no longer forcing the market. You are dancing with it. Remember, you cannot control what the market does next, but you can control who you are when it happens. That's the essence of options. Greeks for minds. You are not here to predict the next candle. You are here to measure your own reactions to it. Because once you can measure, you can manage. And once you can manage, you can master. So the next time you sit before the screen, don't ask, what will the market do? Ask, what will I do when it moves? Don't ask, where is the best entry? Ask, where is my calm? Because the most profitable position is always the one inside you. And the most valuable signal is the silence that tells you when to wait. When. This is how you transform from trader to observer, from observer to master, from master to peace. It begins with the Greeks of the mind. Delta, gamma, vega, theta, rho. They're not formulas, they're mirrors. Read them, respect them, balance them. And one day you'll realize you no longer need to fight the market because you've stopped fighting yourself. The chart will still move, but you'll move differently, slower, calmer, wiser. And in that stillness, profit will become a byproduct, not a purpose. That is the art of trading psychology. That is the soul of mastery. There is a moment in every trader's life when the market stops being the enemy, when you stop needing to win and start needing to understand. It doesn't happen suddenly. It happens quietly on a morning like any other. You open your charts, you sip your coffee, you see the same candles moving, and yet something feels different. You're no longer chasing. You're watching. You're breathing with the market instead of fighting it. And in that stillness, a realization dawns. It was never about the trades. It was always about you. Every loss was a teacher. Every mistake was a mirror. Every cycle of fear and greed was an invitation to awaken. You see, trading isn't just a financial journey. It's a spiritual one disguised in the language of charts and numbers. Each Greek you've learned to master isn't just a metric of risk. It's a metric of awareness, a symbol of how deeply you've learned to see yourself. Delta taught you sensitivity to price, to emotion, to energy. Gamma showed you acceleration, how quickly your mind can spiral or settle. Vega humbled you with volatility, the chaos of the unknown. Theta taught patience, the art of letting time work in silence. And Rho freed you from the tyranny of expectation. Together they form the equation of inner balance. But balance isn't something you find. It's something you build moment by moment. Every breath you take between trades, every pause before clicking, buy or sell, every time you choose awareness over impulse, you are building equanimity. Equanimity is the invisible Greek. It's the measure of your stability when nothing makes sense. It's what allows you to stay calm in profit and calm in loss. It's the Greek of the soul. And like all Greeks, it can be calculated not in numbers, but in choices. How quickly do you return to center after a loss? How gracefully do you accept uncertainty? How deeply can you remain at peace while chaos dances around you? That's your true performance metric. Not P&L, not win rate, but how often you traded from awareness instead of emotion. Because the market will test you again and again, not to punish you, but to show you where your awareness ends. Every emotional reaction is simply the market pointing to a place within you that still needs understanding. So when you feel frustration, think it. When you feel fear, observe it. When you feel greed, forgive it. They are not enemies. They are indicators. Your internal Greeks updating in real time. The more you watch them without judgment, the more they soften. Fear loses its sharpness. Greed loses its pull. Ego loses its voice. And what's left is neutrality, not the absence of emotion, but the harmony of it. Neutrality is the most powerful state a trader can achieve. It doesn't mean cold indifference. It means calm presence, feeling everything, yet reacting to nothing. That's the state where insight emerges naturally, where decisions are effortless and discipline no longer feels like effort. You trade as an extension of awareness itself. Every click, every exit, every pause is aligned with clarity, not craving. But this state cannot be forced. It must be cultivated like a muscle, like a meditation. Start small. Each morning before you open your platform, sit in silence for 1 minute, not to empty your mind, but to listen to it. Notice what arises. Is it anxiety, excitement, expectation? Label it gently. Then breathe through it. Because awareness dissolves distortion. You can't trade clearly from a clouded mind. And you can't see clearly if you're trying to control the weather. Let your thoughts pass like clouds. Let your emotions move like wind. You are the sky, vast, unchanging, untouched by storms. That's equanimity. Trading from equanimity changes everything. You no longer chase the perfect entry. You wait for alignment. You no longer force profits. You allow them to appear. You no longer seek certainty. You build adaptability. You start to see that markets are not random. They are rhythm. And that rhythm syncs with your own internal state. When you're calm, you see clearly. When you're restless, you distort. So the ultimate trading strategy is the mastery of state. Because state drives perception and perception drives decision. No indicator can save a distorted state, but a clear state doesn't need many indicators. Discipline then becomes sacred, not a prison of rules, but a ritual of alignment. You wake up, you breathe, you journal, you prepare, you show up not to control the market, but to control your awareness. The routine becomes your anchor. The repetition becomes your meditation, and slowly your identity shifts from trader to practitioner. You're not chasing trades, you're practicing presence. Trading becomes less about outcome and more about embodiment, living the principles you preach. That's the discipline of mastery. It's not built in moments of success, it's forged in the quiet repetition of awareness when no one is watching, when no one is clapping, when no profit validates your patience. That's where real strength grows, in the silence between wins and losses. Eventually, you'll realize something extraordinary. You can't separate trading from life. The same impatience that makes you enter early makes you rush through your days. The same fear that stops you from holding a trade stops you from taking risks in relationships. The same greed that chases profit chases validation and attention. Trading is simply a concentrated mirror of who you already are. Fix your trading and your life will improve. Fix your life and your trading will evolve, because discipline, patience, and clarity are not trading traits. They are human traits. When you cultivate them in one domain, they ripple into all others. At some point, you'll see that trading psychology is not about becoming emotionless. It's about becoming emotionally intelligent. You don't reject fear, you learn from it. You don't suppress greed, you transform it into curiosity. You don't fight impatience, you channel it into awareness. Every emotion carries energy. You decide whether that energy controls you or fuels you. That's the alchemy of mastery, turning reaction into reflection and reflection into wisdom. When you do that, you stop trading against yourself. You start trading with yourself. And then comes acceptance, the final Greek of the mind. Acceptance is not surrender. It's recognition of reality as it is. The chart doesn't care about your opinion. The market doesn't owe you profit. And life doesn't bend to your expectations. Acceptance is the courage to see things clearly without needing them to be different. When you accept, you relax. When you relax, you see. When you see, you choose wisely. That's the circle of awareness. Acceptance dissolves attachment. And without attachment, fear cannot survive. When you don't need the market to move your way, it loses the power to move your emotions. And in that freedom, something magical happens. Clarity. You begin to see opportunities not as escapes from discomfort, but as natural extensions of understanding. You no longer chase setups. They find you, because your inner state finally matches the rhythm of truth. This is where most people misunderstand mastery. They think mastery means control. It doesn't. It means harmony. You're not controlling the market. You're aligning with it. You're not suppressing emotion. You're moving through it. You're not eliminating risk. You're dancing with it gracefully. That's the essence of trading psychology flow without force. The Greeks of your mind are no longer enemies. They are instruments, each playing a note in the symphony of awareness. Delta keeps you alert. Gamma keeps you adaptive. Vega keeps you humble. Theta keeps you patient. Rho keeps you grounded. Together they compose the melody of presence. And when you listen closely, you realize the market has been trying to teach you this all along. Every candle, every spike, every false breakout, all of it was a language. The market was never testing your strategy. It was testing your consciousness. The losses were your mentors. The drawdowns were your training grounds. The boredom between trades was your meditation hall. You just didn't know you were in class. Now you do. You are the student and the subject, the trader, and the trade, the chart, and the observer. There is no separation anymore. There is only awareness watching itself move through experience. And that awareness is infinite. The market will close each day, but awareness never does. Your journey as a trader was simply a path leading you back to yourself, to the place within that doesn't rise or fall with price, that doesn't win or lose, that simply watches. That place is peace. And from that peace, everything flows. So when you open your charts tomorrow, remember you are not trading against the market. You are trading within it as part of its rhythm, as part of its breath. Each click is a dialogue between awareness and chance. Each trade a question to your own consciousness. Am I awake right now? And if you are, it no longer matters what happens next, because the real profit was never in the numbers. It was in the knowing yourself, knowing your emotions, knowing that in the vast uncertainty of the market, You found certainty in awareness itself. That's the real alpha. That's the real edge. That's the mind over markets. You've traveled through the Greeks of your own mind, through reaction, through chaos, through awareness. You've seen that every candle is a mirror, every spike a signal from within. Now, you know the real edge isn't data, it's depth, it's presence. It's the courage to meet yourself in the noise and remain still enough to hear the truth behind it. The market will keep moving. The screens will keep flashing. But somewhere inside you found the quiet observer, the trader untouched by volatility, the self that no loss can shake, no profit can define. Carry that awareness into your next session. Trade not to win, but to see, not to escape emotion, but to understand it. Because when the mind is clear, the market reveals itself. And when awareness leads, profit follows. This is mind over markets. And your next trade begins within